Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another debate topic in hip hop. Who has the better discography between Snoop Dogg or Ice Cube? Now, both of these are two hip hop legends, and they're both West Coast legends to be exact, based out of California. So, and we know both of them have been active in music, one more than the other. But they've been active in other things and other ventures as well. They become brands now. So, Snoop has been he's been associated with the Olympics. He's has tons of endorsements and advertisements, movies. He's on TV shows, things of the sort like that. Now, Ice Cube, on the other hand, he has this big three basketball league. We know he's written, produced, directed several movies, TV shows, starred in movies as well. So he's been doing both have been doing a lot of things outside of music, but this topic is about reared in who has the better discography. So who has the better albums and songs in their discographies. Now, but before all the success that these artists had, they made their name in hip hop and were solely known for hip hop until probably like the mid to late 90s. Then they started veering off into other things because they started getting other opportunities and started realizing they had other talents. But we know Snoop Dogg's uh, debut album, Doggy Style, was a classic in hip hop and is cemented in history, in hip hop history, especially as a must listen that you have to listen to be able to tell the story of hip hop. Now, Ice Cube made his names before, he debuted his name with NWA, with people like Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, DJ Yella, MC8, artists like that. So he grew up in this collective group that's one of the most famous and one of the best groups in hip hop history, and that's where he made his name before he went to solo projects. And he definitely reinvented himself or got more respect as an artist because he stood alone. But both of these artists have amazing, you know, catalogs, but who has the better discography? So without a doubt, Ice Cube has the best song, one of the best songs in hip hop history that you can't tell the story of hip hop without, and that was Today Was a Good Day. One of the songs that I listen to every year. We hear it on some kind of sports event every year. You hear it at some kind of function every year. Everybody, most people know this song, whether you're a hip hop fan or not, because of the Isley brother sample, classic sample, and also just the classic lyrics that Ice Cube spit throughout the lyrics. Very classical song. But Snoop has the highest selling singles like Beautiful with Pharrell Williams, and then that Sensual Seduction where he uses the auto tune. A kind of funny song as well. But Snoop has the highest selling singles. And despite Ice Cube being the better rapper, because it's clear to me that Ice Cube is a better rapper than Snoop Dogg, but I think Snoop Dogg has the better discography just off simple activity alone, and then also the sales, because I'm not talking about rapping, it's just a better discography. Who has more sales, who has more output. And it's clear that the output is definitely, there's a difference in the output, because I think Ice Cube started going in TVs and movies and he kind of backed off of music, even though he dropped an album last year. But Snoop Dogg has dropped 2 projects in the last 6 months. So it's pretty active. And also Snoop Dogg has 22 albums to Ice Cube's 11. So he's doubled his output. And they were out similar to around the same time. I think Ice Cube was out a little bit before Snoop Dogg. So that just shows you, actually, he was out probably half a decade before Snoop Dogg, because his first Snoop's first album didn't come out to like 93. So, and Ice Cube, I think, was out in the late 80s. So he had a drastic head start, or half a decade half start, but yet Snoop still has double the albums. And Ice Cube does not have a number one hit according to Billboard, which I was kind of shocked to see that. And Snoop Dogg only has 3, but he does have more than Ice Cube does. And then Snoop has 3 number one albums according to Billboard, and he has a number 2 album. Ice Cube only has 1 number 1 album, and that was the Predator album with Today Was a Good Day on it. This discography conversation is just a different one, because if you put any other, who has the better rapper, who has the better more impact, I probably would have said, Ice Cube for both of those, even though it's a debate about the impact because Snoop has transcended genres and he has transcended and become a household name more than Ice Cube is. But if you can keep it confined to just hip hop, a lot of artists relate to Ice Cube because of the lyricism and things that he were able to do. I think Ice Cube has way more substantive quality music. And Snoop, it was more early on, especially stuff with Dr. Dre, his first album, maybe the second album. But after the second album, he had a precipitous drop, especially the stuff he did with like No Limit. And the more recent stuff is kind of it's okay, according to and that's just judging off Snoop standards. But Ice Cube has always been pretty consistent musically, especially in those early '90s. Nobody could really touch Ice Cube back in those early '90s, at least on the West Coast, with the exception of maybe Tupac, which originally he's from the East Coast, but that's a story for a different day. And I think Snoop crossing over to the masses helped his sales as well and helped his appeal because he became more of a friendly face. He smiled more. Started hanging out with Martha Stewart. While Ice Cube has always been stone faced, never smiled a lot, always give his direct opinion. Didn't make a lot of friends doing this, but he was always genuinely Ice Cube, and he didn't really pander, or not saying the Snoop pandered, but he never just changed who he was, and he always had this gangster appeal to him because that was his image and his brand. So he didn't make a lot of friends that way, especially with the Big Three League and the beef that he has with the NBA, so to speak. So I think that helped Snoop Dogg as well. Now, I still think Ice Cube has the better albums as well, collectively, with the exception of the Doggy Style album. The Doggy Style album is the best out of the albums, out of all of their discographies together. Of course, Doggy Style is classic. It's probably top in people's top five in hip hop history. But Ice Cube probably has, two albums that's in the top 20, while I don't think only Snoop Dogg has one album that would be in that top 20 in hip hop greatest histories. But tell me what your thoughts about who has a better discography between Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg. And until next time, I'll see you next time.